Good afternoon, everybody. I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. All of my plays are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Position disclosure should be the same. It should be the same. I forgot to update it, so it better be the same, but I think it is the same. Is it the same? Let me just look through my positions here real quick. Yeah, everything's the same. Alrighty, how did we do today? SPYs are up 0.4%, Qs are flat, and the IWM is up 1.6%. So really, really good continuation and relative strength from the Russell. So we talked about that yesterday with these daily candles, that the IWM daily candle really wasn't great. It's an upside shooting star, but there wasn't not a massive amount of extension, and this is why I really like doing the comparison of the indexes. Because if you just look at the IWM in a vacuum, you could say, wow, yesterday's a concern, you have this big upside tail. And that tail is still a concern. But when you look at what the Russell did yesterday in the context of what the Qs did yesterday, with that big negative Mariposa engulfing candle, or even the SPYs, which just had a much weaker day, then all of a sudden that IWM candle does not look nearly as bad. It's a green candle. It closed positive. There was relative strength all day. And then today that relative strength continued and just went. So Russell looks good. At this point now, at today's close, it is starting to extend a little bit. Probably more like into a no man's land, though. There's room for this thing to continue to probably even 229 before it becomes kind of extremely extended, assuming that it does that, relatively soon. So it's the IWM. As far as the SPYs go, it's an inside day. So we had that pullback kind of to the ADMA. We had a rest day today. That bigger iron condor was on today. And, that inside day gives us some clarity. So tomorrow is Thursday. We have retail sales. I think we also have Taiwan Semiconductors tomorrow morning. So two important events for this market tomorrow morning that will probably determine which way the inside day for the SPYs breaks. If it breaks up, well, the market trend continues to look good as we trend higher. If it breaks down, a little bit more of a problem. Inside and down, we'd be pushing through the ADMA on the daily most likely and starting to test some of those support levels like that 577.50. And then finally, the Qs are kind of a nothing burger of a day. There is a little bit of a downside tail there into the 21 EMA, but in the same way that we looked at the IWM upside tail yesterday within the context of what the other indexes did, you want to look at what the downside tail did in the Qs today. It's not a major candle, it's on low volume, and it's actually still meaning that there was relative weakness there when you compare that to what the SPYs or the Russell did. So it's kind of the index update. Nothing too much to talk about there. As far as individual stocks, individual trades, I think that the trade of the day today was SMR. Really was kicking myself for not being in this. I liked it. I feel like on other days I've tried to be involved in this SMR when there's been good news that's been out there and was not able to get continuation on it. As a matter of fact, on some of those other days where there's been upside news, I don't remember which days there were specifically, but they were like the worst days in this daily chart the last 2 months. I feel like one of them was like this day on October 3rd. They gapped it up big on news and sold it down. And then the other one was earlier. I forget that other day that I traded it. It might even have been this day on the 17th where they totally failed this thing back down. But today, it actually went and ripped. I think it was the trade of the day. We called it perfectly in the morning meeting too. I mentioned, I think pre-market it was trading around 15 or above 15. 1440 to 1450 was the daily level that I was looking at. So I've been talking about this a lot recently from like a day trading perspective. Sometimes I'm getting myself into, I don't want to say trouble, but a little more aggravation than I would otherwise need by actually getting into some of these names a little bit before the open or at the open. names that have some news, and I feel like they're breaking big levels. They're gapping, potential breakaway gaps where they have some opening selling to satisfy some of the extension that comes from the gap. Then the pivot comes in, and then you get the continuation. We actually just talked about this yesterday with Wolf, right? So Wolf, it didn't work nearly as well as SMCR, but this is the trade I'm talking about. Like, I was interested in Wolf yesterday. I thought 1350 to 14 was the level. It gapped up too big. I put a bid at 1401, but this was perfect. Pull back into that ADMA on the 5 minute to satisfy all that extension. Then it trades down through 14, back up, and that's your pivot to be able to make some money. So similar, but much, much better today. SMCR gap into above $15. If you're buying, $15 or above pre-market at the open, it's a difficult trade because, like I said, the right level is that 1440 to 1450 support zone that you want to be looking at. So you're buying a $15 stock and you're giving it, 50, 60 cents worth of risk. It's a lot. Whereas if you were patient and waited for the signal or waited for a pullback closer to that daily level, it's perfect. Pulls back to satisfy the upside extension on the 5 minute chart. ADMA is catching up, so then you get this perfect pivot low. It's at 1433, so it slightly overshoots that 1440. But again, when we're looking at the daily charts, those daily charts are areas. It's not like it's going to be, all right, level is 1450, so it's going to hold 1451 to the penny. It's not how it works. Those are daily chart areas that we deem as important that we want to pay attention to if it's trading in that area on the small time frame at any point during the day. And again, that's what happened today. So it's SMR, gaps up pretty big, pulls right back down perfectly into the zone, gives you this nice little downside tail doji into the ADMA at the level, trades back up through that 1440, and then after a little bit after that, totally off to the races. Phenomenal, phenomenal trade. You could have been in this for anywhere from 7 to 20 cents worth of risk very easily and caught $5 of upside reward easily too. There was never a time here where the trend was really breaking or anything like that, unless maybe you trailed super, super tight on a 5 minute chart. This worked literally as perfectly as it ever could have. It was an awesome trade. I was not in that one. I did get back into Wolf, though I wasn't super aggressive on it. I wanted to watch that Wolf off that 1350, but I didn't want to be as aggressive because it was a day two and there was still a big gap there. So I bought like less than half the stock that I had when I was trading it yesterday, and it worked so much better and so much more easily than it did yesterday. The life of a trader. Yesterday I had a lot more size. I was looking for a move to 16. I couldn't get it. I got a good enough of a move to $15. Traded it well enough. Stopped myself out at half. Continued to trade it. At the end of the day, I made some money for myself, but it was a lot of work to make that money. Today it was like, all right, I'm going to buy a little bit. I don't have the same conviction. 1350 is still important. So like I said, I bought less than half of what I bought yesterday. And then I was all out of that position by, what was it? I was all out of that position by $15. So I caught a nice $1.50 move, but yesterday my target was 16 and I had more than double the size. Is what it is. Nothing you can do about that. You establish your game plans for yourself. There is no point in playing the coulda, woulda, shoulda game, and there's no point in getting in your own head because you should have done something different than you did. Well, you created the game plan that you created for yourself for a reason, and the most important part is following those reasons. Speaking of frustrations, my only real red day trade of the day, SMCI. We saw in Pat's note this morning that SMCI is the highest short float out of any infotech stock. I like this improvement in this daily chart as it's recaptured the high of this negative Maribozu, building out a little bit of a better consolidation here. And if it can clear through 50, maybe you're breaking up through some levels where you can start to trigger some of that short float to be out of the money and to buy back some stock. That's what I was thinking. So I jumped the gun on it. I did not wait for 49.50, which is really the area we're talking about, 49.50 to 50. I started trading it earlier because I liked, one thing I noted from yesterday was the relative strength of the name compared to the other semiconductors. We know the other semiconductors got squashed yesterday, and SMCI was like in some ways maybe the best one with how well it held in. So an added thing there, that relative strength. SMCI traded pretty well in that first 5 minute bar of the day. So kind of got involved in it initially just with a feeler. I did not get out on the break of that inside five. I was still giving it some more room. But then off of this tail is when I really began to size up. And into this inside five, the second one here, when it tightened up, I sized up even further. And then once I sized up, then I tightened my stop. I actually used the low of the first inside five here, this 950 bar, as my stop loss. So I had to stop at 47.48. And then it looked great. I remember watching the QQQ weakness in the first 30 minutes of the day, and SMCI holding in pretty well. NVIDIA was okay, but I thought SMCI was holding in really well. And I was like, man, if I could just get these Qs to bounce a little bit, then my SMCI trade is going to be money. So, sizing up on the trade in that area, tightening up the stop loss as well, because now I'm sizing up, so I have to. Looking to have a nice, strong, greedy game plan, and then guess what? I get exactly what I want. These Qs bottom out, they bounce. They even bounce more than I expected that they would bounce. So it should be go time for SMCI, and it's not. It tried to go here a little bit. I was able to sell a small amount of stock, but then this nasty, nasty tail came in at 10.10. Out of nowhere, it just got heavy. They down ticked it all the way down. They triggered through my stop. They also even broke the low of the day by 1 penny. So even if you chose to use the low of the day as your stop, you still would have gotten shaken out. And then after that, the trade worked great. So that sucked. So that was my biggest loser of the day. It was a medium-sized loss for me. Despite getting some kicks, I had a pretty greedy game plan, and again, I had sized up in that inside five pattern and thought if the market could roll up that this trade would work really well. And whatever, it pushed me out. So it just is what it is. It sucks. Somebody decided to sell some stock. I tried another scalpy momentum trade in this thing at 11.25. It started going without me. I'm not letting myself have FOMO. Gets to above $50, pulls back almost to the ADMA on the 5, but not quite. Just kind of watching the price action there. Initially, I bought some at 49.40 or so, with some bids out a little bit lower because the ADMA hadn't caught up yet. Once the ADMA caught up to this pivot low, I raised my stop to everything to that pivot low, canceled my bids below it, and then saw what it could do. I was able to sell 50% of my position into this up move at greater than 1-to-1. Was a lot greedier on the other 50% of my position. That failed. I got stopped out here at 11.55 on the break of that low, and of the other 50%, and it ended up being a small winner for myself. But net, SMCI, I'm red on in the day. It's my second worst name of the day, and which actually I don't have any big losers today, so it's not that bad at all. But it is what it is. Sometimes the market will push you out. Sometimes it could be a little bit frustrating. Felt like that happened a bit with Wolf for me to some degree, even though it worked really well. Can't get in my own head. And SMCI also, all we can do is establish the game plans for ourselves, recognize the importance of having a game plan for risk management, and recognize that we work in probabilities. So even sometimes you can have a really good trade and you'll just get shaken out by a penny or whatever it is. I would not have done anything different in how I traded this SMCI today. I think I traded it perfectly, and it's a loss. It doesn't matter. The important part is when I go back and I review this trade, did I trade it correctly? Did I have a good game plan? Did I manage my risk properly? If the answer to that is yes across the board, then that's all that matters. And for me, the answer is yes. So it kind of sums up my day. Not really too much to talk about. I kind of traded this NVIDIA to the short side here on this extension. I started small but too early. I was out of the money. I sized up much better on the deeper extension. Fully liquidated the position on that pullback. Still have a very small swing short on NVIDIA from yesterday. But if NVIDIA gets above today's high tomorrow, I'll probably be out of it. And my position on it is pretty small, so I'm not too worried about how TSM will affect my NVIDIA trade. So that's all I got. I'm going to Tombstone today after we finish up the afternoon meeting. check that out. It's about an hour drive or so. Never been there before. Never been in southern Arizona before, so it's cool to check out some new things. I'm gonna go have a shootout down there. It should be pretty cool. One of my favorite movies ever is that old black and white movie called My Darling Clementine. If you've never seen it and you like old movies, check it out. It's basically a movie about the shootout at the OK Corral, but it came out way before the actual movie Tombstone came out. So it should be cool. That's all I got on my end. I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you guys have. Right. First thing I'm seeing here is from Chris in the VTF. Hey Dio, had a couple charts that I thought were setting up for an RDR to the short side. Was really hoping for more follow through. Can you give me some feedback on Boeing and coin for a short this morning? Sure. RDR to the short side on Boeing. That means the stock has gone up. Yeah, I like the idea. I don't know if I would necessarily call it an RDR. An RDR, again, implies that you've already had at least 2 up days in a row. I don't know if I would count October 14th as that. And usually an RDR is really designed to take advantage of extension. So there is no extension on this chart. So it's not how I would characterize the trade. But I like the idea because you've got a super weak stock that's grinded up into this 21 EMA that is up for a couple days in a row. So I like the idea, but I would classify that more as a trend continuation trade that you're looking for. You're looking for a pivot high to come in here to continue the downtrend, and less as like a RDR, which is more of like an extension retracement, counter directional type of trade. But broadly, I would say like the idea, and maybe I'm nitpicking a little bit. And the other one is coin. Yeah, coin, there you have the extension, right? And this is very clearly like a day 4 to the upside today. A little bit of a reset yesterday though, with like a flattish close, but you had the extension. It's kind of a day 4 to the upside. That trade I like a little bit more. On the intraday, did it trigger at the open? It technically triggered at the open, so I hope you caught it here at the open and made a few dollars before you got stopped out. I see it triggered again kind of here, which maybe also could have been a break-even trade or a small winner depending on how you game planned it. But yeah, that's good. Thanks, Chris. Let me know if you need anything else. From Rex on SMCI. Okay, I just went over SMCI in detail, so we'll see if your trade was the same as mine. Because of its relative strength yesterday, trading above the negative news day, I bought SMCI off the open, and when it bounced off the 80 MA on the 5, then I got stopped out there. Okay, so you stopped out here. I held through that against me because I had a smaller position. It's fine. At 9:45, the Qs tried to bounce. SMCI tailed back above 821. 821? Whatever, I'm not sure what's meant by 821. With some volume, I thought that SMCI could be a shakeout, and I went back to it. But then I got stopped out by a penny at 10:10. Yeah, that was when I got stopped out too. That sucks. Do you think I should have avoided getting back in SMCI again after I got stopped out? No, I don't think so. And I was in it too. So I think that was just like kind of we traded the same trade. We just traded in different ways. I took it as like one bigger trade where I was small in the first trade and didn't stop myself out, but then sized up in the second trade, albeit a little bit differently than how you did it, with a little bit of a different stop loss. So I did that like all as one trade, and then just went over how I got stopped out. And it broke that low by a penny. You just did it where you broke it up into 2 trades, depending on your size. It's probably better risk management to do it the way that you did it. And I'm fine with the fact that you took the second trade. I think everything was there. I was talking about it. We just need the Qs to bounce. The SMCI is holding in great. This thing could go. It could squeeze. It could break through that level. So I'm fine with that. And then your other one is sell H. Yeah, that sell H35 is tough. It doesn't seem ready yet. I'm gonna continue to keep an eye on it. I did see it go early on in the day and then fail. So you thought it could go if the market wasn't so weak yesterday. So I took decent size through 35. Okay, good. And I mean, it worked enough. If you bought through this 35 on this first try, you got 40 cents risk, but it worked for 80 cents. So it failed, but there's no reason why you should have lost money in that unless you had a very greedy game plan, because it worked almost 2x your risk on that one. So I'll take a trade like that all day, where the trade works 2x and then fails, like a failed trade that moved 2x my risk. I shouldn't be losing money in that. Again, unless I have a very greedy game plan, which every once in a while I do. All right, we got one guy in the VTF that likes to watch an occasional black and white movie. Mike Reed in the house. LAC's moving after hours. Yeah, a bunch of stuff going. Okay, cool. Popping over to the VTF, any long-term investments you are looking at or had in the current past? Nothing new. Nothing new on my end. I mean, for me, for long-term stuff, I tend to just dollar cost average into companies that I believe in. Every once in a while, if I think the market's going to dip, maybe I'll be a little bit patient on that next buy. But that's always been my approach. Everything I do active, I do through my T3 account. And by active, I mean probably anything up to like a 1 year time horizon. And then anything that's going to be, I'm buying it for the long term. It's going to be definitely more than a year plus. Stuff I buy for like the long term probably has more like a 5 to 10 plus year view. And again, it's basically just dollar cost averaging into companies that I like and use their products and believe in broadly. And there's been nothing new there. But thanks for the question, Robert. From Cyril, the IWM keeps leading. What are your thoughts on the market dynamic? Sure. So the Russell looks great. I spoke about that a little bit today when I was on that podcast thing with JR and Sammy. The Russell looks phenomenal. This is where the relative strength is. I like it a lot. This is my favorite area of the market. And within the small caps and the mid caps, there's all these stocks that are out there. Like JR brought up Lulu as an example, but there's so many of them. Sammy brought up a bunch of them that are really beaten up and kind of created these bases, and then they're breaking out of the resistance levels of those bases. So I like those charts a lot right now. I like the continued rotation. I like the IWM broadly, though it's a little bit extended now after today, and I'm looking for that dynamic to continue. But I think that even if you're looking at the IWM and these small and mid caps, you need to be very focused on the Mag 7 stocks all the same. What you need to have happen in order for the IWM to continue, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday when we looked at that Morgan Stanley chart, is you need, first of all, these Mag 7 names to not wake back up. If they start ripping higher again on their earnings reports, things like that, then it just sucks all the air out of the room, and then you get the IWM underperforming. It seems like there's just not enough money out there for everything to get bought up all at once. But the other thing that you actually need, I think, is you need the Mag 7 names not to crash. Because if they crash off bad earnings reports and the Qs really were to begin to break down and the SPYs lose those levels, at a certain point they'll start to sell everything because correlations increase on the way down. So I would continue to watch the Qs and the Mag 7 stocks even when you're thinking about the IWM. And you almost want the Mag 7 stocks to not give any violent moves in any direction and hold in sideways, and then I think we can get further continuation with the Russell. I see some things popping in the VTF, but I'll just stick with the YouTube for another second. For me, Vixie Bull, I bought the Qs long at 10.05 based on trend reversal strategy rules I'm trying out. The change I'm making involves using an indicator that does not look at price like candlestick patterns do. Okay. Always interested in learning more about that. Coincidentally, though, you weren't looking at price via candlesticks. I was looking at the same area for a QQQ long. I didn't take it, but I was looking at it for some of my other stocks and thought that we could get a bounce back off that zone. The trade got you out at 10:35. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a deeper pullback there. What's your opinion on adding in indicators to a strategy that already works? Well, if the strategy already works, what do you need them for? um, that might be too simplistic of an answer. I think more information is beneficial, but I think that all indicators are just layers of probability. So if you have a strategy that already works and you're focused on that strategy and you're not overly reliant on an indicator, if you have a good indicator, you can potentially use that as just an extra layer of probability. I have my strategy, it works, but also the indicator that I look at is confirming it. So that's how I pretty much utilize any indicator that anyone talks about. So thanks for the question. Popping back over to the VTF. No problem, Chris. From Rex on drug for a 1-2-3 play tomorrow. Oh man, I don't know. This stock's insane. Why not? I mean, if it breaks today's high tomorrow, then maybe it goes $200. I don't know anything about this thing. It's a very, very wide-ranging inside day. So I don't know. Could it break 36 tomorrow and go to 70? Maybe, but I know nothing about this stock. I need more information. It's a very, very wide-ranging inside day. But in theory, sure, it could. Let's watch the volume. Nice. Nice on coin there, Chris. That's it, Rich. That's the one. John Ford. Such a great director. A lot of classics there. Do you think that consolidation we closed yesterday in coin kills the RDR trade? Consolidation closed yesterday. I don't think it kills it, but I definitely don't like it because it kind of resets the count a little bit. It's like kind of in between, to be honest. Like, if it closed any weaker than that, then I would definitely say yes. If it closed any stronger than that, I would definitely say no. It's like kind of a close call. Yeah, I don't have anything else for you besides that. Thanks, Rich. I didn't look at that drug at all. Wild spread. Lucid Group files for issuance of common stock. Oh, they're Lucid doing a secondary. I drove past a Lucid when I was driving from Vegas to Tucson. Yeah, Lucid getting hit on that. I don't see them very often. I think they look fine. They almost look nicer than a lot of the Teslas. But I don't know anything about it. I'm not too much of a car person. A little bit. A little bit. Anybody else have anything for today? Whoa. There we go. Adam in the house. All right, from Adam here. All good. All good. Let's read through it. I feel like I'm stuck in a self-fulfilling psychological cycle. Wondering if you or anyone else can lend some advice. I am noticing that I hesitate pulling the trigger on my game plan alerts out of fear for being wrong and losing money, and then usually watch the plays work without me. They will sometimes offer another setup, but I am convinced I'm chasing and miss the move. That's actually a good thing, though. I thought you were going to give me more there and say that you are then getting in and chasing the move. Again, on the podcast thing I did with Sammy and JR today, I actually brought that up. How a lot of times traders will miss these big moves, see that everybody else made all this money, and then after the trade is done and gets more difficult, then they start trading it and losing money. So at least you don't have that secondary problem if you're not getting in. Eventually I get frustrated from watching everything go without me and not having any confidence that I will try something outside of my original game plan. Since I'm now thinking I have missed these opportunities. Sometimes they work, but hold on. Eventually I'm getting frustrated from watching everything go without me and not having confidence that I will try something outside the game plan. All right, so you are doing what I'm talking about. Don't like that. So you're compounding your mistake. Sometimes they work, but mostly I've been getting stopped out very quickly after entering, enforcing my original fear of losing money on any given trade. It feels having discipline to follow my rules only loses me less money rather than making me money. Is it though? Because you just said that you're not having the discipline to follow your game plans and your rules from the get-go, and those are the trades that are working. I feel like I'm grinding away just to get risk covered, but on the contrary, my stops are getting hit immediately after 3 or 4 quick losses. I'm already at my mental max loss. I know this is a lot of general info, so if there isn't really an answer, no, there is. I'm just feeling like no matter what issue or weakness I address, it doesn't seem to have the positive impact I need, and or some other weaknesses spring up elsewhere. Now we're getting a little broader. I can give more specifics about the trades I didn't and did take, or give more information if needed. Sure, let's continue to do that. Not with today's meeting, but let's continue to do that with future meetings as we try to work on your progress here, where you can give some examples now that we understand the bigger picture issue. Let's see if in the following trading sessions this week, next week, you can give some specifics of where you're doing better and where you're doing worse as we try to tackle this. And also about the comment here about taking it offline if that's preferable, I prefer the opposite. I definitely prefer, if you hit me up offline, I would be happy to help you if someone's embarrassed about publicly airing out their struggles or something like that. I'm happy to help offline, but I do prefer for traders to put themselves out there, put it in the VTF, because most likely any issues that you're having, somebody else may be having as well. We have a big group, and the only way that we can make progress is if traders are willing to put themselves out there and air out the issues that they're working their way through. So much appreciation actually for you posting all of this in the VTF so that we can work on tackling this as a team for you and for anybody else that is struggling. So much appreciated. So let's take it back from the beginning now that I read through all of this. Okay, so issue 1 that you brought up. Doing your research, it sounds like, in the morning, and then you're having an issue. You do all the research, you create the trade idea, you create the game plan, and then you're failing to pull the trigger when the trade is triggering because you have a fear of being wrong and a fear of losing money. So that is step number 1. You got to believe in the process. I mean, I don't want to just circle back to the same answers that I give regularly, but I talked about this, I think, just the other day, or maybe I spoke about it in Vegas. I don't even remember anymore. Process is key, right? And also circling back to, we talked about this in the afternoon meeting recently, that sports psychologist that I really liked. It's okay to be disappointed. It's not okay to be discouraged. Discouragement is when you come back in the next trading day and fail to do things correctly because of bad results that you had on previous days. That's how I would kind of describe discouragement in the trading universe. We cannot allow that to happen. It's very, very easy. It's very, very easy. I've been there many times myself. When you do not trade well and you do not trade correctly, to have a mental thought process where you're already not doing things correctly again the next day. You lose self-confidence, you have discouragement, you're in a red streak, you lost money yesterday, you had trades fail yesterday, you made mistakes yesterday, whatever it is. Now today comes around and, oh my God, I can't have another red day. Oh my God, I can't have another failed trade. Oh my God, I can't have another, more red P&L. You're starting your day with a defeatist attitude based on recent previous results when human beings especially have a recency bias where they, remember vividly what just happened yesterday as opposed to what's happened over the course of the last 6 months. So this is where, for me, because I can fall into these same traps and have many times in the past in my career, I hearken back to, for me, what's kind of become the most important trading mantra in my career now, which is all I need to do to be successful in trading is to do the right things consistently over time. And I believe that I know what those right things are. So all I need to do is to do them consistently over time. What does that mean? It means doing the research, creating the game plan, and then actually following the game plan. That's what that means. You did all the work. What does it mean to do the right things consistently over time? It means to execute that research and to execute that game plan that you develop for yourself and not care about the result. You can't, if the process is correct, the result doesn't matter. So you have to start by having a strong process. Then, after the fact, after the day is over, and it should never be just based off of one day of failed trades, you can go back after the fact and assess, well, was my research correct? Was the game plan that I created for myself the right game plan? Did I follow it correctly? Then you could say to yourself, all right, well, I had a bad game plan, and I need to adjust my game plan. And again, I very careful with that, because one bad day or one red trade is not enough information to say I should be changing all my game plans. It's about analyzing a series of trades over the course of a week or a month, where you can say to yourself, my game plan it can be improved upon or needs to be adjusted, or this game plan is not encompassing an edge anymore for whatever reason, the market changed or whatever. So those are two separate problems. But initially, you have to believe in your game plan or you have nothing to go on. So start by, if you're creating a game plan, follow it. And then a different question is, do I actually have a strong edge in the market? Has my edge changed? Do I need to be changing game plans? But again, step number one is you're doing the research, you're creating the game plan. All you need to do, if you actually have an edge in the market, which circles back to the other question, if you actually have an edge in the market, your game plan is the definition of that edge. And then you therefore need to have the discipline to be able to follow through with that game plan consistently over time, regardless of the outcome of any individual given trade, because that doesn't matter. Trades fail, trades work. I had trades fail today. I had trades work today. Each individual trade that I take doesn't actually matter. It's all the trades as they come together over time that actually matters. So that's number one. You need to get out of the discouragement mode. You need to believe in the work that you're doing, and then you need to execute those game plans. And then study the results. Not one day, not one trade. Study the results over a period of time, and then you got to say to yourself, all right, is my edge working? Do I need to make are there adjustments to my game plan that I can make to improve it? But for me personally, that the most important thing for me personally in my trading is to have good game plans that I follow consistently. I know that when I personally have good game plans that I follow consistently, I make money. It's that simple. I lose money when I don't do the work, when I jump into stuff without having done the work, without having done the proper research. I lose money when I fail to follow my game plans properly. I lose money. That's pretty much it. I lose money when I fail to follow my game plans perfectly over time because I'm not disciplined enough, and I lose money when I don't do the work to come up with the trade and come up with a good game plan to begin with. Otherwise, my edge works and I make money consistently over time. So that's the first thing. The second thing then is now you're compounding mistakes by taking haphazard trades that are not game planned, that are not based on the research, and they're based on bad psychology and emotional trading. which is, oh my God, I did all the work and I didn't follow the trade, I didn't follow the game plan, and it's working without me. This is exactly what I talked about with the JD and Sammy thing at the end of the day today when I was talking about the Chinese stocks. I've seen this happen with traders less now, actually. This is one of the benefits of not having traders in the office. But still, even sometimes we do it to ourselves where, it used to be like, oh my God, everybody just made so much money in the Chinese stocks and I lost money because I made a mistake or had a different thought process or whatever. And now, or you weren't in it at all. And now the trade is done and then you're getting in the trade because everybody else made money and you need to make money too. That was something I used to see happen on the desk. It's very bad. We don't get that anymore because we don't have the desk, which is good. You don't get to walk by the guy's screen next to you and see what his P&L is and feel bad about it because your P&L is not as good. But you can still have your own issues like you're describing where you're doing the game plan, the trade's working without you, you're not involved in it, and then you're taking bad trades after the fact because you're like, I'm so dumb, I should have made money in this. Look, it's going to keep going. I knew I should have been in. But now you're getting in without a game plan and inherently with the worst risk reward and lower probability of success because you're late on your trades. So in some ways, the answer to the second problem is by having a solution to the first problem. Just doing things right correctly to begin with, and then you're probably not going to be taking those bad psychology follow-up trades. But it circles back to the same thing. I said it when I spoke in Las Vegas. I spent a moment on it, but I really wanted to emphasize the point in my presentation there that, and if I get invited back to Traders for a Cause, I might consider doing an entire presentation just on this following sentence, which is I really feel that the number one counter to bad psychology is good game planning and then having the discipline to follow it. You got to stick with what works for you. What works for you is doing the research and creating the game plan, not taking trades willy-nilly after the fact that you had no game plan for, because then you're just kind of compounding your issue. So I really, again, appreciate you bringing this to the table. My challenge to you is over the course of these next, several trading sessions for you to do the research, do the game plan, and then follow the game plan with the utmost amount of discipline, and then to put yourself out there after the fact. I know Brant Hirsch likes to talk about how he trades better when he communicates his trades and ideas. He's more disciplined when he communicates his trades and ideas than when he just gets into stuff on his own. So, I want to challenge you to. I don't care as much about the P&L result as I care about the process. And then again, you can work to adjust your process over time. I challenge you to do exactly what you've been doing insofar as you do the research and you create the game plan. I challenge you to do the best you possibly can to follow that game plan and then not take these trades. And I don't want you to care what the result is. You already created the game plan. The result doesn't matter. And then I challenge you, over the course of the next several trading sessions to continue to put yourself out there and say, hey, today my ideas were the following 3 trades. I took these 2 of them and I followed my game plan and I executed them well and the trade worked or didn't work or whatever. And then we can potentially analyze those trades also if you want and make sure that the game plans look good and everything. And then, just put yourself out there to prove to yourself and to prove to us publicly that these next few trading sessions you are disciplined enough to follow your game plans and then not take the FOMO trades after. So let's start with there and let's see what progress we can build from that. So, seen some other commentary piled in. So Josh giving you a response. I'll just let you read that. Getting a lot of other appreciation here from other traders for putting yourself out there. Yeah. What Ian is saying here also, if you're really in a bad streak on your trading, you can size down a bit. Make sure that the process is correct, but size down on sizing and everything like that to focus on the process itself and less about the P&L. The Demon Finder. I like this. I like this. Mike Reed giving us the Demon Finder spreadsheet that he uses for himself to help with his own trading. Love that. Mike L saying here, a big one for me is if I have a red morning, just accept it. The worst thing to do is trying to get back to green after 11 o'clock. When there is no volume, it usually just gets worse. 100% agree with that. There was no woe in me in there at all, Adam. There was none of that. We're all where we're at with our trading, and we are, building on that to get better and better over time. Yeah, Ian giving some good advice. Josh giving some good advice. Where can you get a recording of the thing that I did? I don't know. I would assume it's on the T3 Live YouTube channel. It was live streamed. It was live streamed over YouTube. Pretty sure through the T3 Live channel. I have been. Oh, there it is. I just searched in T3 Live in YouTube and it pops up there. It's called T3 Brain Trust Episode 4 Netflix earnings. I have been doing this. I'm enjoying it. I hope the viewers are enjoying it. This weekly, I guess we're calling it the Brain Trust episode on Wednesdays at noon Eastern Time with Sammy and JR. I'm a big fan of both of those guys. So tune into that, or if you watched after the fact, watch it, and then give them the thumbs up and type into the comments and give some good feedback so that the person who's putting it together sees that positive feedback, keeps it going. Is Palantir a good stock to invest in? Personally, I don't like Palantir at these prices as an investment. I think it's a bit expensive. On a pullback on lower prices, I would be interested. I like the company seems like they're doing pretty well, but I think the stock's a little expensive up here. Did the sports psychologist I mentioned have any books? I don't know if he did. He didn't advertise them. His name was Dr. Tom Crawford. Let me Google that on my other screen here. Dr. Tom, I think that's, Crawford with an A, I think. Let me just see what comes up when I put that in. That is not him at all, those pictures that are coming up. This weird looking dude with the orange hair, it's not who that person was. I don't know. I don't know. I'll hunt around, but this person is not him that I'm seeing when I type up the name. He was an old guy who's worked with Olympians. He's got white hair, red hair, and tattoos. Oh, oh yeah, this is the guy right here. I'm gonna just put it into this. Yeah, Jonathan Katz was the guy that he worked with. Jonathan Katz is good too, but I was particularly impressed by this Tom Crawford. Yep, that looks like him, just a little bit younger. Cool. Uh, Thoughts on GTLB? And then I gotta run. I gotta get in the car. I don't know the stock. GTLB GitLab. I've seen the name come across the radar. I don't remember what they do. Is this crypto stock? It looks decent if it can clear above this like 56 to 57 resistance area. It's got to do that. If it's a crypto name, it'll probably move with all the other ones. The crypto technicals are interesting. I hate the space, but the crypto technicals look pretty good right now. Oh, it's a software name. What's up, Judy? Tate likes it a lot. team in Munich? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Got it. Yeah, the daily chart looks pretty good if you can clear that 56, 57 area. Nice. All right. I gotta jump. I gotta get in the car and drive down and be home in time to get a good night's sleep for trading tomorrow. Went to bed at like 7:15 local yesterday and was up by 3:15 or something. So have a great night, everybody. Hopefully I don't get shot at the OK Corral. See you all tomorrow. This is not stopping. Stop.